You're watching Truth versus Hype, the contenders of 2014. We are in Amritsar, where we've come to witness the transformation of Arun Jaitley from suave, smooth-talking strategist to the man he hopes of the masses. Is Mr. Jaitley's decision to fight his first Lok Sabha election indicative of deeper ambitions, or is he simply content to play kingmaker to Narendra Modi? Over the next 30 minutes, witnessing Mr. Jaitley juggle his old avatar as a BJP's key firefighter with his new one as candidate Jaitley. At a gathering of party workers in a banquet hall in Amritsar, Arun Jaitley, suave backroom strategist, attempts a reinvention as a man of the people. Mingling with cadre, waving the obligatory sword, and even an hour-long speech delivered in fluent Punjabi.
कि ਵੱਡੇ ਵਜ਼ੀਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਚੁਣਾਵ ਲੜਨ ਨੂੰ ਤਿਆਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਨੇ। ਉਹ ਜੋ 50 ਚੰਗੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਫੇਰ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੌਕਾ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੀ ਜਿੰਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਧੱਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਲਾ ਸਕੇ ਜੋ 5 ਸਾਲ ਇਸ ਮੁਲਕ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਸਭਿਅਤਾ ਔਰ ਸ਼ਾਲੀਨਤਾ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੁਣਾਵ ਬਣਾਵਾਂਗੇ। ਕਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਵਜ਼ੀਰ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਰੁਕਾਵਟ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਦੂਜਾ ਵਜ਼ੀਰ ਰੁਕਾਵਟ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਦੀ ਜਨਤਾ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ ਤਿਆਰ ਹਾਂ।
But right throughout, he seems preoccupied, which he puts down to his dual role as a key firefighter. From the dais, he made calls to defuse the induction of the controversial activist Pramod Mutalik into the BJP.
I heard about it when I was addressing a meeting, and my immediate reaction was to call up my colleagues in Delhi and convey my personal concern about it.
You did that immediately, the moment you found
I did it from the dais. I spoke to my colleagues in Delhi from the stage itself when I was addressing a meeting, which you were covering. And I found that they were equally uncomfortable. I then spoke to somebody in Karnataka, but my senior colleagues in Delhi had already spoken to them to review, and the centre party directed to inform the state leadership that this has been done without our knowledge. I know it for a fact that neither our party president nor the organizing secretary were even aware of it.
You're saying that the central leaders had no idea about this?
It was a
decision taken entirely by the state
It was
unit?
a decision taken by the state unit. They didn't realize all the consequences. They didn't realize that India has changed. The communication systems have changed. And they took a decision, and therefore the central party took an appropriate decision.
The crisis in Rajasthan, with Jaswant Singh openly rebelling at being denied a ticket, also claiming his attention. You actually wrote in your blog today that senior leaders of the party who've got a number of opportunities must also be prepared to accept a no. What did you mean by that?
I strongly believe that. For instance, if my party at a given space of time told me, well, in this tenure there is no position for you, so just work for the party, so be it, I'll do it. There are lakhs and lakhs of people who work for the party without aspiring for a position. So if some of us, you see, I became an activist in 1970. I got my first breakthrough in 1999 after 29 years.
Those 29 years have witnessed a rapid rise into his current role. From his entry into university politics as the head of the ABVP, the BJP student wing, winning the Delhi University students' elections, a student activist during the JP movement, and a stint in jail during the emergency.
So when you end up 19 months in prison, you come out as a die-hard politician. And by the time we came out, it was time for me to start law practice. The elections were on. So I was touring the whole country, delivering speeches in 1977.
That exposure to the JP movement and a non-RSS background has led to the perception of Jaitley as less of a hardliner compared to, say, the party's current mascot, Narendra Modi. So, would you say that Hindutva at all was a factor in drawing you towards the ABVP, the BJP?
The phrase had not been coined at that stage. At that stage, issues which were of concern were Kashmir. Article 370.
But subsequently, when we're talking about, let's say, the Ram Janmabhoomi movement and so on, which became much more outwardly Hindutva issues, did that find any resonance with you?
Certainly did.
Or were you uncomfortable?
No, it certainly
with
did.
him?
It certainly did. I was never uncomfortable about the Ayodhya movement. in the sense that that there must be a temple built at that place is something which is a part of my ideological conviction today. But I would not have wanted it done by a process where a structure is broken down. I would rather have a temple either through a settlement or through a court process or through a parliamentary intervention, which is the due process.
I think Jaitley has tried to position himself as a moderate in the party. There's no question. He sounds reasonable. He's always looking for the middle path. He's trying to create a consensus. And therefore, I think he has tried very much to position himself as a moderate in the party. But, we cannot forget that when the Gujarat riots happened in 2002, and Modi was in trouble and Vajpayee was wanting Modi to step down, Jaitley was one of his staunchest defenders along with Advani. Now, whether that was out of conviction or whether that was out of friendship, I don't know. But the fact is that Jaitley did defend Modi, and so in a way he did turn a blind eye to what happened in Gujarat.
So what's the basis of the Modi-Jaitley relationship? Jaitley claims that it goes back several decades when Modi was still a junior functionary.
I've seen him long time ago.
But when did it sort of evolve?
I have a glimpse of him coming to Delhi University in the early 70s for his post-graduation. He used to live in the ABVP office. But then we didn't have much of... It was in the 1980s when from the RSS he came into the Gujarat BJP that we developed a very cordial relationship. And I remember when he was the organizing secretary in Gujarat, we became very close friends. Whenever in Delhi he was with me. I used to travel to Gujarat.
Whenever he'd come to Delhi, he'd stay with you?
No, he used to stay in the party office, but he used to...
Come over to your house?
Yeah, he used to be there. I used to go to Gujarat for cases those days. And I would... we'd always be together. And we became, as we evolved, close friends. But I'll tell you, whether you call it friendship or political association...
What would you call it? Is it a friendship or is it a political association?
We developed a fair amount of trust in each other. And that has endured for a long period of time.
But tell me, did you ever at that time get any indication that he had this kind of potential in him? Because I tell you, we knew him at that time as a party spokesperson among several others.
You see,
and frankly, one never got a sense of that kind of trajectory.
I started realizing in the early 90s, not in the concept that it has emerged today, that besides being a party full-timer and an organizing secretary of a state and then at the center, he had leadership material.
You saw that?
I saw that in the early 90s.
Where did you get a chance to see that? Because you didn't have too many chances to demonstrate that.
He was a great political analyst, good organizer. He used to read a lot. He was a serious man.
In Modi, Jaitley found a mass leader who sent the backroom strategist to the Rajya Sabha twice from his home state, and Modi in turn had access to Jaitley's phenomenal networking skills.
Well, I think Modi must find him an extremely valuable asset, in kind of negotiating Delhi. Remember, he was in Delhi a long time ago as a BJP General Secretary. And then he went to Gujarat, and he's been in Gujarat for the last 12, 13 years. So he's been pretty much out of touch with, Delhi politics, the corridors of power, and so on. And I think Jaitley is an extremely valuable asset in negotiating the ins and outs of, Delhi politics.
Arun has always been very central to the largely based the intellectual inputs that have gone into the BJP. But I think where his role has changed quite substantially in the past 6 months or so is that I think he's having a greater input into the decision making. His voice is becoming more and more relevant. Part of it has got to do with the enthusiastic backing which he gave Narendra Modi, and I think he was one of the first who sort of appreciated and discovered among the central leaders the potential of Narendra Modi as an all-India phenomena.
But those skills have always created an element of doubt over Jaitley's ambitions, content simply to play kingmaker by shaping the Modi campaign or aiming for a higher role. That pot was kept boiling by the Punjab Chief Minister, who at a rally in support of Jaitley in Amritsar last week said this.
ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਵੀ ਚੌਥੇ ਨੰਬਰ ਦਾ ਵਜ਼ੀਰ ਹੋਊ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਹੀ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਤੇ ਖਜ਼ਾਨਾ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲੇ ਹੋਊਗਾ
You see, Badal Sahab is a grand old man of Indian politics. He's a very affectionate man. And this is his affection of recognizing your talent or potential and his style of canvassing for you. And I don't see it more than that. And I can honestly admit to you what I've already said. I don't nourish any such ambition.
And yet, newfound Modi loyalist Madhu Kishwar has been persistently tweeting about Jaitley leading a 160 club in the BJP that is secretly sabotaging the Modi campaign in the hope that if the party gets 160 seats, Jaitley has a chance of emerging as a consensus candidate.
Well, I'm glad
Jaitley, who is normally quick to act against any real or perceived slander, is surprisingly mild on the subject.
Well, I'll tell you, in India, everybody is a political analyst. And the internet activists are genuinely great political activists. So they assume, they get onto the Twitter. That makes politics a lot more interesting. I'm not cribbing about it.
Okay, so the suggestion that there is somehow some sort of a group within the BJP which is trying to sabotage Mr. Modi's chances, because that will actually allow them a chance to come into the picture.
Anybody in the BJP ever dream of planning that the party gets less seats? It's just not conceivable. Today, we are in a position where we are at our strongest level and we want to continue that way.
No, but the concern being that if you have a leader or a leadership which is seen as more accommodative of allies, someone like yourself or someone like Sushma Swaraj.
I have completely the opposite analysis to this. And the opposite analysis is, if the BJP was 150 seats or below, we will not get an ally. If we are 200, 225 plus, we'll get many more allies. So the test had to be, how do you reach that figure? Now, in order to reach that figure, you must have the strongest leader. And therefore, if under Mr. Modi we can reach that figure, we can cross the hump, then the possibility of getting allies before the election, after the election also increases.
Coming up, regardless of the extent of Jaitley's ambitions, he first has to win his debut Lok Sabha elections. What are his chances? That's next on Truth versus Hype.